Emotionally available, emotionally healthy, securely attached people do not go hot and cold on you. The hot and cold behavior is what emotionally unavailable avoidants will do. This is because avoidants learned at a young age that emotional intimacy leads to abandonment. That if you rely on anybody for your emotional needs, this person is ultimately going to abandon and reject you. It's the result of having parents or caretakers that were emotionally neglectful, that were not there for the avoidant in the way they needed them to be. They carry this fear through to adulthood. You don't have a healthy person behaving in a way where they're love bombing you one day. They're telling you how they're going to spend their future with you, even making plans, talking about the family you're going to have together, buying a house together, future vacations, future trips, life plans together. And then the next day, they're suddenly distant. There's a sudden change in the tempo. They're not really actively messaging you. They're barely returning your texts, and when they do, it's in a very cold, very short manner. And if you have this person in person, they seem like they're physically present, but they're not emotionally present with you. Emotionally healthy, emotionally available, securely attached partners do not just go cold on you like that without any significant reason. If there was no argument, there was no major event, everything seemed like it was going wonderfully, and then all of a sudden this person is too busy to reply to you. They're pulling back. They don't know when they're going to be able to see you next because they just don't have time. And they're just so busy with work, just so busy with school, so busy with their family. They don't have time for you, and they'll see you whenever they're able to. That's not what secure people do. That is not what emotionally available people do. Emotionally available people, securely attached people, don't just change their mind about somebody overnight. Not without some significant event, some really significant event to trigger that. And when a significant event triggers that with a secure person, they're going to communicate that with you, because a securely attached person is open with their communication. If you did something that bothers them, they're going to tell you. Avoidants fear communication because they learned as children that if you communicate your wants, needs, and feelings, you're likely to get dismissed and rejected. So they don't communicate things. So if there's a complete lack of communication that is also coinciding with somebody who is pulling away from you, that is a sign that this person is an emotionally unavailable avoidant. They were very likely triggered by the fact that the relationship was going so well, that the two of you really did have a future together, and it was building, and emotional intimacy was also building. That means that you were starting to get past that castle wall that they built around their heart. That triggers fears of abandonment. Keep in mind, avoidants fear abandonment from somebody who treats them well, because a healthy, loving partner that treats them well, that would be a devastating person to get abandoned by. Somebody who's emotionally unavailable, somebody who's toxic, not all that special. The fears of abandonment aren't there because that person's not all that special. Who would fear abandonment from somebody that you really don't care about? But somebody who treats them well, well, now that's scary, because that's the kind of person that would be soul crushing if they abandon them. So if the person that you are with is suddenly pulling back and there's no explanation and they're not giving you any coherent answers and they're suddenly busy, they suddenly don't have time for you, they stop the mushy communication, they stop being affectionate, but they're telling you everything's okay and they're just stringing you along, chances are you're dealing with somebody who is not only emotionally unavailable, but somebody who is also avoidantly attached, and they had their fears triggered, and because they don't like to communicate, because they suppress their emotions, they don't face problems, they run from them, they're not communicating to you what's going on within them. They're not telling you the fears that have been triggered. They're not processing the emotions because they bury them. So you're dealing with somebody who is really operating out of a land of fear, someone who's operating out of the land of emotion and isn't communicating with you. So if these things are happening to you, it's not a reflection of you. It's nothing you did wrong. It's a reflection of your partner and their unhealed attachment wounds that stem back to childhood. You didn't cause that. You didn't create them to be a person that is afraid of communication, that's afraid of emotional intimacy. If you blame yourself, you're taking responsibility for something you can't control, because you can't control anybody else's behavior. You can't control their emotions, and you certainly can't control their attachment wounds. If they want to be healthy communicators, healthy partners, emotionally available, they would have to want it. They would have to want it badly enough to do the difficult self-reflection required to heal. And that healing should include therapy. But don't take personal responsibility for somebody else's traumas. And understand, if this kind of behavior matches what you're going through, you're dealing with somebody who is likely emotionally unavailable, because emotionally available partners will communicate to you and directly to you what's going on.